What's happening, everyone? Welcome to another LIFECAST. Hope you enjoyed last week's episode. I'm here to go again. It's on you, Paul, this week.
It was deep last week.
Was deep.
Yeah, this week.
Sounds like you've had a hard time, and hopefully this will be a bit more fun.
Yeah. This one though is an interesting one, I think, for everybody because we've all got different ways of coping with it. But you're in it all the time, so I understand social media. Is it good or isn't it? That's what we're going to discuss.
Before I answer that, can I have 2 beers, please? Well, before I answer, I'll say to you, just a straight yes or no answer. Social media, a good or a bad thing?
Oh no, there is no
answer.
No, I can't, and you know why I can't give an answer on that? Because everything's about balance. You know, Adam before just said, I think it's a really good thing if it's used in the right way. So I'm going to go with that as my answer. The problem is it used in the right way? Well, what would you answer?
If you put a gun to my head now and said, listen, we can keep social media as it is and it can keep evolving, or we can just banish it now, I'd say banish it.
I might be with you on that, and I'll tell you why as we go on.
I just think, listen, yes, there are so many benefits which we'll go into and stuff. And listen, this podcast will be going out on social media. That's how people are going to see it. But I don't know. I just think there's just so much negativity out there, and there's so much fakeness. And listen, I've been guilty of being fake on it as well, which we'll go into. But I just think, generally speaking, thanks, Keris. I just think, generally speaking, I would quite like to have a world where we didn't have social media. And I think maybe having a daughter who's 8, and no doubt over the next few years will, grow up in this world. I just think, just put a gun to my head now, I'd say get rid of it. Can
you remember the first social media platform you went on and what it was like?
Would you class MSN? No, that was just a messenger thing, I guess, wasn't it?
Oh.
MySpace would be the first one.
Was you on MySpace? Yeah. I never went on that. That was early days.
Yeah, MySpace, and then I think I got Facebook when I was
Did you enjoy MySpace?
I can't really remember much of it, from what I can. And then I had a Facebook when I was about 17, I think.
And did you enjoy Facebook?
I just used it because I joined the Marines at 17, so I just used Facebook primarily as a way to keep in touch with people. So that for me was all right in that sense. So Facebook was first, and then it was Instagram, and then Twitter, and I've stayed off TikTok.
The reason I ask you that question is I remember I used to have some German mates, and I was in Spain, and they said we need to be on Facebook. About 15 years ago, I was like, "What's Facebook?" I'm not the most techie person anyway, and they were like, "You mean what's Facebook?" Like they're European, they've been on it for ages, and they said, "Oh, I'll add you as a friend." They set me up the thing, they added me as a friend, then all these friend requests came in. Then for about 2 months I thought, this is mega.
Yeah.
They'd gone back they were German, the guys, mixture, but mainly German anyway. And I remember thinking, this is mega, this is keeping us in touch with people. And I remember thinking at the time, God, I wish it did, because I was probably 30 then, I wish it'd always been this, because there was people I met from the age of 18 to 30 on holidays or trips or whatever, that just fall off. And I thought, this is mega. In reality, that was probably what it was set out to do. But it's changed somewhat since then.
I think and I came off Facebook a while ago, and I think what made me come off Facebook was you'd see a funny video from like Lad Bible or Uni Lad or something like that, and I'd kind of like that page, and then I'd like another one and another one. And then before long, all those posts that you're talking about as your friends from being in Germany or Australia or America, they were never popping up anymore.
Yeah.
The algorithms were like, this is a paid content or whatever it was, giving them that.
Yeah.
And in the end, I just felt, I'm not seeing anyone I actually know anymore coming up on there and stuff, which that made me come off Facebook. But again, speaking beforehand, and where I am now with that kind of aspect of social media is... rightly or wrongly, I live my life on social media to a point where I've just come back from London, fought the government over my compensation. I kind of I'm off to London to fight the government. Yeah. I've just beat the government, and now I'm back home. Thank you. So there was like 3 posts about what I was in London for.
Can I ask you why?
I feel like there's a need now. I've been on social media that long.
Why?
I feel like with the job I've got, I feel like people have over the years I've been on it, I've amassed a bit of a decent following, in a sense of like 10 or 15,000 people who kind of care for me in a sense and have been supporting me.
True.
So I felt a need to kind of let them know. There was a bit of me that wanted to kind of say, like, fuck you to the government, and I wanted people to know I was still fighting them. But I definitely felt this weird kind of obligation to kind of let people know what I was up to. And the point it's got to is I've turned up today and obviously know all the guys and everyone's went, congratulations.
Yeah.
Now, if I just said, I'm off to London next week and didn't say anything else, the conversations we would have had today would have been a lot more in-depth. But instead, everyone fucking knows I've won, so it's a bit like, oh, congratulations, well done.
Yeah.
So I think what it's done, that whole initial idea of keeping in touch with people, it's actually killed conversation. Because I think, you know, people might have been a bit more, once you see them, I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks, what's been happening? And you're telling these stories, whereas now I go, oh, Paul, seen you were in London yesterday, oh great, you were in Manchester the day before, great, yeah. So I think
when it's replaced with your real life social interactions, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah, if you're having, great point, if you're having those kind of conversations that you could be having like this over a beer, but you're not, you're having it on a, oh, there's this photo, I've liked it, I've commented, have a good time, see you soon. That's that conversation done in 5 or 6 words.
Yeah.
So that human interaction, which I think is so important for your mental health as well, I think that's lost with social media, unfortunately.
It's a good point, that, Neil, because as you were speaking, I think there's a balance to it, right? There's good and bad. And Mike Bates, who's just been on your podcast, so he's about to go on.
He's about to go on it.
He talked about, he will talk about the thing that he longed for was interaction, 48 days. There are lonely people, coming back to the podcast that me and you did, where actually it gives people relationships. Now, the thing about them is they're not physical, the tech relationships, but it does give loneliness. It does fill that loneliness gap. What it perhaps doesn't do is make you go to the local club or the local squash club or golf club or gym or whatever it is that you could, dance hall or whatever it is, that actually makes you have that physical interaction, because you kind of get it through flicking through social. Now, I originally thought that was good, but now, as Neil said it and you answered it, I thought, actually, that's probably not so good, because what it really is it's a real arm's length relationship that you think you're in.
What you said there about me, my obligation that I feel to post every day, you don't post that much.
I'll tell you why in a minute, but the reason why I asked you the question is the first person that comes to my head was a guy called Kevin Sinfield, who he's not on it.
Yeah.
Right. I'll be honest with you. I think some of it comes down to security. He doesn't need validation. He doesn't need to show the world. Kevin just does shit, right? And he doesn't need anybody. He don't want anybody's well done, anybody's like. He doesn't need anybody's applause or thank you or kiss me ass, as my dad would say. He doesn't need it. He's so unique, by the way. But you obviously, you've met him and you know him. He's just such a well put together individual. He's like, I don't understand why you want somebody to like it. I don't understand why you want to tell somebody. He's oblivious to it. He'll just run 7 ultras in 7 days and raise however many million quid he is. So deep down, we have all got this desire. And that could be a desire to be accepted, to show off, to improve our egos. Coming back to me, there's a point where I'm on Facebook, and I loved it at the start because I thought I'm connected. And then it was quite funny. Lad Bible was proper funny. They used to put things out. I'd be like, laughing. It changed my mood. I could be in a bad mood. I could be under stress. I'd see a Lad Bible thing, wheelchairs where they're picking the footballers up. There's like, you're rolling about and it can change your mood, like music can change your mood. Then Lad Bible started to become political. Unilad and all these things, they started to change the content. So it started to become, in effect now, it's an argument ground. It's a battlefield, isn't it, Facebook?
I'll tell you what, sorry, you've just reminded me. I come off Facebook around the time of Brexit.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you found, you could do an update, and I think alcohol and social media don't go well together. You might have had 3 or 4 pints and you've just said, whatever. And it was either Brexit or some sort of political debate, and it got political anyway. And I went, fuck this. I'm not arguing with people who I don't even really know anymore. And I'm getting this wound up about it. So I just completely came off Facebook for that reason. But
It's bad for your mood. During Brexit, I was in Vegas. I was in Vegas with Zeri, and I forget what the time difference is, but I would be awake at 4 a.m. in the morning, arguing with my mates about Brexit on Facebook. Yeah. And it would get to the point where it'd be 4 a.m. there, might be 10, I think it's 6 hours, 10 p.m. here, and I can't get to sleep. And my missus is going, "Are you mad?" Yeah. I'm like this. You can see in the face what's going on. That's what I think Facebook has become. It's become a battlefield. Yeah. She then said, "Oh, switch. You should be on Instagram." She said, "You need to be on Instagram. It's lovely. Everybody likes your stuff on there. You don't really get involved in mad arguments." So I moved to Instagram. I'm still on Facebook because I like the memories. You know, I do like it every day. I flick through the one thing I do every day is I go on and flick through my memories. So I do think it's good at it kind of hooks me in by going, 12 years ago we was in such a place or doing such a thing, or we said such a thing about Sejulo, and it gives me a point of reference. So I do quite like that. It's a good tool. Instagram, I started with that, so I'm on it now. And I got to a point where one of our clients, who's got 1.5 million, he said, "You're not representing your true life on Instagram." I'm like, "What do you mean?" Your life is actually quite interesting. The people who are your clients, it's interesting, but you don't showcase it. So I thought, and you've only got 2,000 followers. So I went through a period of about 6 months where I thought, might be even been a year, where I thought, right, I want to get my followers up. I'll come on to why in a minute. I haven't got a fucking clue why I want to get my followers up. I just want to get my followers up. I'll tell you why. Because everybody else has got more followers than me. Yeah. That's why, right? There isn't a logical reason why I want more followers. Right? So I'm like, yeah, you're right. I need more followers than this. I'm more interested than this validation of 2,000 followers. So I started to create like, well, what are the things I go to the gym. I'm a family man. I've got a business. And there was like these 5 or 6 things that's like, don't really post outside of them. The top and bottom is, I said this to you the other day, I just got fed up with it, right? And I got fed up with it because...
Because you're trying to prove yourself to other people, or...?
There was a point where I thought, what am I doing this for? I'm not really asked, right? I got bothered. There's no doubt about it. I got into like this little rat race of a cycle of, how come he's got 10,000? I've got a more successful business than him. I've got a more inspirational lifestyle than him, or or whatever it was that I kind of did get sucked into. But it was quite brief. I would say probably 6 to 12 months, somewhere in between, right? And I said this to you the other day. I looked at my Instagram the other day. I think I had 2,900 followers, something like that. And I posted a picture of me and my missus. And I lost 30 followers, right? And I thought...
You must have had loads of women who thought you were single.
I should say that to them. But I posted, and I thought, how can you lose followers by posting? And I've had other people come to me, you know, who'll do me social media, and what they really want, the truth of it is, they want me to play like a Billions. What they want to do is me in a picture, all suited up, you know, with my camera in front of me, on a private jet, or a certain car or a certain watch. And I'll be honest with you, it isn't me. And I'm not willing. I had to make a choice. If I don't care or do what's needed to be done to give that Instagram lifestyle, and I ain't going to go that far. I can't do it to myself, so I'm not bothered anymore.
Well, that's what I wanted to touch upon, because you've actually linked it in really well. What I was going to ask is, you look at someone like, you know, Kevin Sinfield, who does loads of cool stuff, but doesn't really need to be liked. You've got one of the coolest lifestyles I know, in the sense that your business is cool, you know, the opportunities that you've kind of created for yourself, and you're passionate about what you do. And if you were to document your life, I think, you know, to look at it, it'd be fucking wow.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, but I'm saying it would look like a cool life on Instagram. Don't get me wrong, you probably wouldn't post all the stressful, but I mean, you know, you've got what you've created in Sejulo is cool. It would be good to look at, and you've chose not to. Where I think the argument against that is, and what Kev thinks, is, for example, my argument. Me as a motivational speaker, I need to have a presence on social media. So I've definitely felt over the years a kind of an obligation or a responsibility to put out there, oh, here's me on stage in front of 500 people. Oh, I've just got a standing ovation. Oh, I'm just going to do a talk in China. Oh, because it's like, as pathetic as this sounds, there's almost this fake it till you make it kind of thing on social media, where it's like, if people see that you're doing well, they're gonna think, oh, fucking hell, he's in demand, him. He must be doing well, and that has worked. It doesn't happen now, but in the early days when I started speaking, sometimes you put a photo up and you might have 2 or 3 gigs that week, and if I posted about them, people would think, fucking hell, he must be doing good, him. I'll get him into my company.
100%.
So
there's a chicken and egg.
I know what you mean about the, for your values and your models of why you don't want to post, and I understand Kebs, but for someone in a business, or you've got to post, and I think they've just got us by the balls, social media, where it's either a need or an obsession or
I think you're the same as me. You post more than me because you've got a personal brand, right? But you would have more, you don't toe the line of Instagram. I don't see pictures of you where you've just walked out of a next catalogue and you've got, a certain look and you're walking with your phone along. You'll post your dog when you was with your dog, or you post your daughter, or so you're getting natural followers, right? Your natural followers are probably coming from people listening to you speak and thinking, wow. And I would have thought yours are coming from more natural circumstances in the algorithm of Instagram. I'd put my house on it. Because,
I agree.
Because I look at and it's like I say, it's you and your daughter's pulling a silly face. Let me be honest, right? That's not how you build followers, but it's truthful though.
Yeah.
So you're actually doing the same thing as me on Instagram.
Just being kind of
you post a bit more because you've got your own brand. I might post more on LinkedIn, of course, right? But we'll go on to LinkedIn in a minute. Funny story about that in a bit. But your brand isn't like, do you put a filter on?
No.
The people go, you've got to have everything filtered. What do you mean filter? Well, your grid's got to look like that. I thought, I can't be doing with this. And I gave it a bit, right? I look at some people and I know who they are. I ain't going to say that in a long way. But, it's all a fucking front. And they've got hundreds of thousands. But they want to play the game. Do you know what? It's okay if you want to play the game. They'll have their own reasons to play that game.
But that's what I picked up, this kind of distorted reality of playing the game. And I get it. Again, respect. You've got to play certain games. But that's why my initial answer was do without it, because it's just creating this fakeness. And we had a lad on our Monday show that we do. His name's Ryan, and he's kind of, have you heard of this still, Ryan? Have you seen him in Liverpool at the moment? This guy. So there's this 20-year-old kid. His name's still Ryan, and he wants to be a YouTuber. And he became kind of from doing his gaming,
right?
And that's what he does now. And he's like a thing on social media, and his whole life is social media. And I found it so fascinating.
It's a job, isn't it?
I find it so fascinating to kind of be a 5-year-old guy trying to understand that at 20 he gets up and he's just his whole life is all about likes, comments, shares, views. And listen, fair play. From the outside looking in, he seems to be doing well, and good luck to him. But it made me feel a little bit like there's more to life than this, and that's what makes me think a bit deeper about social media when it comes to, we've both got kids, is my daughter going to grow up and her kind of heroes, the people she looks up to, is this social media account when it's arguably fake, a lot of it's fake.
Yeah.
It's arguably,
It's always Coronation Street though, Andy.
Yeah, but did you grow up with heroes in Coronation Street?
Some people do, right? And so I've got a bit of a slightly difference of opinion. I think the biggest problem with social media is how much we spend on it.
100%.
So if you're going to create a job on social media as a gamer, as a YouTuber, and that's going to be your profession, I spend 14 hours a day in my profession. If you want to spend 14 hours a day online, fill your boots. What I think is a bigger problem is, and I'm part of this problem is, I'm scrolling.
Yeah.
I'm constantly, I ain't posting. I never stop going on. If I get a notification, bam, Twitter notification. If I don't get one, I flick down and refresh it just to see if I've got, I swear to God. And the truth of the matter is, I've got my little girl or my little boy poking at my leg and asking me to do stuff. So I think if you spend 16 hours a day online and that's your business, that's your profession, it's what you want to do, and it is an element of yours, I don't actually have any problems with that. I think the problem is on the other side of the fence. It's who's consuming the content and what could you be doing instead of consuming that content. Because I've got a bit of OCD. If I get an email, I answer it. If I get a call, I ring it back. If I...
it's an addiction, isn't it?
It's an addiction.
That's I think, the big thing. It's
obsession.
How many 20-minute shits do you have on the toilet, or do people listening to this? Do you know what I mean? And just fucking 20 minutes.
I'm constant. If I was here now, me and you was chatting, my phone would be there. How often do you go without having your phone there?
Mate, it's fucking constantly in my hand.
Right, and how often does it ring a day? Because it's a phone. How often does it ring?
20, 30, don't know.
That many times? 24 calls a day you get? Yeah. Who's that
15,
from?
20.
Go on, who's it from?
15.
Who rings you 20 times a day?
Mate, I'm one of those. I speak to my dad probably 2 or 3 times a day.
I bet you I don't know, I might get 10 calls a day max. If it's Saturday, I'll be lucky if I get 2 or 3 calls.
Yeah, you know what thing.
But my phone is in my hand all day, so it's not there to be a phone, is it?
I know what you mean. But that's why I think my general thing on it is it's not a great thing. There's some points, and I think why this one's kind of important is because it's such a part of our life, but I just get so much negativity from it now. And there's been times when I've done these motivational talks, and I know for a brand and for people to book me, they need to see that I'm out and I'm busy and I'm being booked. And I've posted a photo, and I've got a standing ovation, and then I've got in my car, and I've cried all the way home because I'm feeling really shit about myself and what's going on in my real life. And then I get home and there might be 100 likes, and I'm like, if you only fucking knew what I'm feeling right now, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
And then I get bitter and angry at myself because I'm playing this fucking bullshit game, and then it makes me feel even more shit.
Yeah.
And that's why I get a bit fearful for the future, and I'm not like as despite me fucking having a career because of it.
Yeah.
I don't know, I get a bit wound up over it. I'm
going to tell you a story in a minute about LinkedIn, but before that, let's just talk about Twitter, because you're on that quite a bit. Right, and when I said Facebook was a battleground, Jesus, how do you cope with... I don't get much grief on Twitter, but I say that, I'm quite political, so I don't get much grief on it. You must get loads.
I'd say a couple of... I'd say funny, but they weren't funny at the time. Obviously on my profile, I think it says Sadulo Ambassador, former Royal Marine Commando, fastest one-legged man in the world, go buy me book. So it says that I'm a soldier in there. And I remember getting hate off this particular person, calling me a murderer, a rapist, this, that, and it called me everything. I think he must have been, I mean, I'm not even religious, I couldn't even tell you, but you know, in Scotland, is it the sectarian and Catholic?
Yeah.
Whatever side doesn't like the British military and basically come after me. And at first, I seen the notification and thought, yeah, didn't respond. And then I thought, fuck me. And I got a bit like, I just blocked it in the end, and that was that. That was my first experience of trolling, which wasn't very nice. The funny kind of experience I had of trolling, and our last episode was about anxiety. It didn't give me anxiety, obviously, but it made me feel a bit anxious. And it was so stupid, but it had such an impact in my real life. And what it was is, on the sportscast we do on a Friday, we spoke about conspiracy theories. And Liverpool, as you know, we're doing fantastic for the last 4 or 5 years on the Jurgen Klopp. And there was a conspiracy online that most of Liverpool's squad were asthmatic. And there's a rule where if you were asthmatic, you could use an inhaler. And by using this inhaler, it was essentially like doping. Right. So it was like the whole Bradley Wiggins thing, you know. So the whole thing was Liverpool are only being that good because they're being doping. Now, some Evertonian has clipped up this podcast, right? Now, we spoke about it for 5 minutes, and I was clearly taking the piss in my tone. Yeah. Some Evertonians clipped up this 1 minute of something of me saying, all Liverpool's team are asthmatics, da-da-da-da-da. Now, I ironically was in Barcelona with all of my mates watching Liverpool against Barcelona. It's 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I've got the beer fear, flying home the next day, and my Twitter just starts going a bit mental. I was like, what the fuck's this? And some Evertonian had clipped up this bit, which to someone with half intelligence would still look like I was taking the piss, but it made it seem a bit more real. And my initial thoughts was great. any publicity is good publicity. At least the podcast will get seen a bit more. By the time I landed in the UK, I'd had 20, 30 messages of like mates going, why are you saying this? Why are you saying that?
Right.
People were atting the Premier League saying this needs to be investigated. People were atting journalists saying, have you looked into this? To the point, Liverpool Football Club, right, asked if I was kind of being serious, right? Because there was that much hoo-ha about it. People were tweeting me saying, I hope Liverpool come at you for, I hope you've got deep pockets when Liverpool come after you for defamation. And it was fucking, but if anyone had watched it, it was bullshit. Yeah. But you know, the fucking anxiety for those couple of days, to the point, I messaged the mate, I won't name the podcast, but there's another podcast, and some lad on this podcast said something years ago, but it gets brought up now and again, and he asked the kind of, so I messaged him and I said, mate, how did you deal with this? And he just said, keep your head down, stay off Twitter for a week or two, it'll go, don't worry about it. Yeah. Which I did, and it went, and now it's a bit of a joke. But you know what? It was horrible. Yeah. And you know, you talk about bullying and trolling on social media. It weren't really me getting bullied, but I thought, fucking hell, God, it was only a joke, what were you? Mate, I fucking shit myself for like a good week. How ridiculous is that?
Well,
how ridiculous though?
So I'm on LinkedIn, right? That's the one I use the most. And I get loads of work from it. So the thing about it is I get a lot of work. I get people almost daily, but a few a week that say, I've been following you, I need to do this, and so on and so forth, right? So I try to put things out, and I'm only human, right? So we always, some people put them out where it's 100% with rose-tinted glasses. If you can get closer to 60, you're probably doing all right, right? We're only human. You're always going to put a better spin on things than what exists. I always try to get as close to the truth as I can. I've got a brand as an organisation to oversee. The top and bottom is that I'm sat in Thailand, right? We're busy as anything. We're in Nikki Beach. The sun's setting. There were 6 of us. We actually went to a wedding of one of our staff that was getting married. We went to Nikki Beach, 3 couples. All day I'm on my phone. I'm on my phone. The setting's amazing. We're in Koh Samui. My wife is sat with the other 2 couples. So there's them 5 and I'm on my own. And I thought, I'm going to have to put this out. This is truthful. I'm sat here right now and the sun's setting. In Nikki Beach, Koh Samui, I'm going to be real and say, here's the photo, but everything's not what it seems. This is what's really going through my mind. Something like that. I didn't really think anything of it. Got to the end of the day, it had been a wasted day for me. Everyone had had fun. I'd worked the whole day. Anyway, long story short, we were flying home that night. So we fly home, get on the plane, don't think anything of it, land. Soon as I land, by the way, as soon as I think it, I'm like out with my phone. Where's my notifications? I need to clear these down.
And what's that though? Is you're hoping that everyone's engaged with it? What's that feeling of
posting that? My actual aim at posting that is I try to post the truth about, like, the reason why I do this podcast is I want people to see the coping with pressures or the dealing with anxieties or the, you know, problems with alcohol, which gets you away from the pressure. Real life stuff. On my LinkedIn, because you can get LinkedIn where, you know, they hire for a Ferrari for the afternoon and post themselves in it. That's not my Insta or LinkedIn. So I tried to be raw, and at that moment, I was having a moment where I'd not been with a party there were 6 of us. I'd not been with them all day, genuinely. And I thought, I'm gonna talk the truth, because there will be people who are earlier on the journey than me, start-up business owners, who do follow me to think, I won't mind a business like him. That's just the way it is, right? So I look at it and go, my favourite quote, be careful what you wish for. This is what my days look like. I'm sat in this beautiful setting. I've not even spent, you know, any time with him. Wow. So I'm doing it as from like, it's like a give back to me that it's like, look what it's really like. I'm going to well, somebody else misinterpreted that, right? So the state of LinkedIn comes on Twitter and goes, what they do is they go on every day and they post like,
who is this, sorry?
There's a Twitter site where it's got a lot of followers, where they go on every day to LinkedIn and they find people who And I understand why they do it, who are over-egging the situation of, you know, I'm in a Ferrari or I'm on the Maldives doing a bit of work and they call it the state of LinkedIn.
Okay.
I get it to a degree, right? Except for my post wasn't like that. My post was I'd not been with my wife for 6 hours and all day I'm trying to explain it's hard work, this business. You might think it's all right from the outside. I want to show you a bit what it's like in the mindset of somebody that owns a company like this, even though they're in a beautiful setting like this. That was my intention.
I can't wait to hear this next bit.
It just got totally misread. So he thinks I'm one of these guys now that goes out and's like, oh, you know, I'm having a hard day today. But in reality, like, there's the most beautiful scene in the background and all the rest of it. So I land and my phone is like, boom, boom, boom. And it's like messages like, you fucking dickhead, you this, da, da. And it's bam, bam, bam. And I thought, I'm like landing. I've not thought anything of what I posted because it's like 12 hours early. And I'm thinking, I don't understand this. What's all these messages? And it links back to this site. So then there's people like going, weird stuff like, I'm going to come round your house and knock you out. I know where you live. And I'm looking at it like, I'm still on the plane at this point. I've not even landed, right? I've had a bad day as it was because I just worked through the whole day. I've just landed. And I'm sat there like, that was the first time that I've ever had that kind of experience. Because I think people who follow me, they genuinely quite know me, right? So
that is mad.
It was for about 24 hours, it was just bam, bam. But it was people just constantly like, it wasn't even like, it was constantly like, I'm going to knock you out. I knows where he lived. He comes from Stockport. Da, da, da. And it was like this complete and utter. And I had to speak to one of my, I had to speak to a client who's got, you know, a load of followers, a notorious client. I'd say, how do you deal with this? And he goes, you think that's okay? He goes, I get that every day, every single day. And I was like, wow, how do you cope with that?
A guy we know said the exact same thing, and you know, millions of followers, and he just said, I was with him actually having a beer once. I was looking through it. He said, "Why the fuck are you looking at that?" He just said, "I fucking And that's the thing. Again, my overriding kind of thing is, I don't know. Listen, it's got its benefits for work and for this and that, but I just get quite sad sometimes.
I think we could all use it better.
100%.
And that includes me. Listen, I will get on there and I'll get annoyed with the Brexit vote, or I'll get annoyed with the Tories at the moment, or I'll get annoyed with certain things that are passionate to me. So I kind of do understand that. We haven't touched on confirmation bias, by the way, which I think is one of the worst. We've talked individually, but generally, one of the worst things is if you support Jeremy Corbyn, you are going to get your feed filled with why you should.
Yeah. And
if I thought of somebody different, I'm going to get it. And if you want of Brexit, you get everything right about Brexit. If you're a conspiracy theorist, whatever that is, if you think the vaccines are good for you, let's use it, then everybody will say you get all the scientific research, vaccines are good. If you're anti-vax, you're going to, and that is what I think is polarising.
That's definitely got a big part to answer is the algorithms, what these use, because, you know, you see it on YouTube, if you type in one, you know, if you type in like if you're an anti-vaxxer, I think it then goes on to like the earth is flat, and then it's like there's so many like there's a rabbit hole that's designed ready for you to do this. You know, if you type in Jeremy Corbyn, there'll be a one. If you type in Boris Johnson, there's rabbit holes already set in these algorithms of people you then should follow. And again, I think it just created a really polarizing world, which isn't real. It's not real.
Yeah.
And I think this episode's just been a bit of a rant of how the things can change on it.
So what would be the things that what were the things that you would take from this episode of how you would use social media?
Well, do you know what? Do you want me to put a complete spanner in the works? I would love to be able to sit here now and go, I'd love to post more honestly on it. But the reality is, I don't feel I can for my job. I feel an obligation and a pressure to be posting. We spoke about it on a few LIFECASTs ago. There's been times in my life where I've felt incredibly lonely, not felt I've got a purpose, and felt really shit. But who is going to book a motivational speaker who is feeling like that? So I've posted motivational, inspirational things to get working, even though I'm not feeling it. So I'd love to sit here now and go, you know what, Paul, if I'm going to take anything from this chat, I'm going to be more real on social media. But the fact of the reality is society and the way it is probably wouldn't feed into that. So I probably will have to continue an element of fakeness, because like you say, I do post.
I don't think it's fake though. You've got to be careful. You've got to be not too harsh on yourself. If you're marketing your business, right, social media is only one channel. Nobody goes on TV or on radio or any other marketing channel that exists and goes, I'm feeling down today. Do you fancy listening to me motivational talk? Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So social media is only from that perspective, mate, just one channel.
I guess then it would be to go, I think Adam O'Neill might have said it before, go a bit more along the lines of post and ghost. Do you know what I mean? Just post it.
Yeah.
And then not be thinking, oh, how many people have liked it and how many. Just be like, I'm on it for work or because I want to share a nice photo of me and my friend or me and my daughter. I've posted it, right, I'm off it. Anything from this, because I've had a moan about it, I've listened to your moans about it. The one thing I can take is I probably spent too much time on it.
Yeah. Snap for me. The second thing I would do is I would be more positive. For anybody, I think we put too much of the moany, whingy, crappy stuff, particularly on stuff like Twitter or particularly when it's a comment. And I just think that I honestly don't think if you're not going to say, if you wouldn't say that to the face, and I don't mean because you're tough. It's not about that. Is most people
just a normal person thing.
You don't walk up to somebody who doesn't look well and tell them about themselves, or you don't say you're to this or you're to that, you're to the other when you walk down the street, and because you're a better human being than that. Yeah. So I don't understand why you feel it's okay to do the same thing, which hurts and probably feels the same, just because it's through a piece of technology.
On that note, and to end on, I'll give you a cracker. And this didn't hurt my feelings, but I just thought it was fucking hilarious. So I was down in London, beat the government and won my tribunal. And I posted a photo of me with a suit on it. It was a grey jacket with black trousers and me in a pint of Guinness. Loads of comments saying, congratulations, Andy, blah, blah, blah. Someone commented, next time I'd wear a suit that matches and pants that fit. I've just fought the government for 14 years and the only thing you've got to say is, find a better suit. I thought that's just social media.
They wouldn't have said that in a pub.
Well,
there you go. This
week's bit of a moan for you this week, and I'm sure everyone listening and watching will have the same kind of moans as well. It's definitely a, what do you call it? Just a subject that everyone's got something to say on it. And let us know your thoughts. I'd be really interested to know all of yours. Hope you've enjoyed it. And we'll see you next week.